Hey YouTube, what's up? It's CS back here with another installment, and here's my review for UFC 142, Aldo versus Mendes. Now folks, before I start reviewing this crazy night of fights, I just want to give a shout out to my friend, who's Evan, HBomb3712. You might have known him on YouTube as MMAInsight at one point. He had almost 1,000 subscribers on that MMAInsight channel, and of course it got deleted by YouTube due to his, infringement on copyrights and stuff. And he learned his lesson. That's why he's back on HBomb3712. He's a good friend of mine. He knows his stuff when it comes to MMA, so go do support him. He's just starting out. He's one of the guys to show me love when I had no subscribers myself, so I just want to give it back to him. So guys, check out HBomb3712, please. But without further ado, let's get to this UFC 142 card. Guys, what did you think of it? In my opinion, I know it is really early in the year. We're only 2 major cards in, but I think this will stand up there by the end of the year as one of the card of the year contenders for sure. Of course, we saw that crazy finish from Barbosa, knockout of the year candidate for sure, knockout of the year so far, and I'd be, really surprised if something topped that, because that's one of the best knockouts I've ever seen. I'll get to that later. But yeah, 6 first round finishes. Of course, we haven't seen that many since UFC 1, right? I would say, because that's a lot of first round finishes, guys. So 6 out of 10 fights finished in the first round. We had 7 fights finished overall. Of course, the Edson Barbosa kick into round 3. But yeah, guys, I really wasn't bored at all with this card. I didn't think there was going to be any sleepers. I did say that in my prediction. So yeah, I was thoroughly entertained throughout it. So yeah, I really like this one. Probably one of my favorite cards of all time, actually, just because I like the crazy finishes and stuff. So tell me what you guys think of that in the comment section below. And yeah, let's get to the first thing to review, the main event between Jose Aldo and Chad Mendes for Jose Aldo's featherweight championship. Alright folks, of course, Jose Aldo got it done with a first round knockout over Chad Mendes with 1 second left to go. Knee and punches. That was rather impressive out of Jose Aldo. I'm happy to see him succeed in such an emphatic manner because, it's no secret. I like good fighters, and I like seeing good fighters fight to their potential. And, this is what happens when Jose Aldo fights to his potential. He's going to defend the best takedowns in all featherweight. And he might even finish the dude in the first round, you know what I'm saying? And that's what happened. Chad Mendes has been able to out-wrestle everyone in featherweight, no matter who he's been lined up against. And I still think he out-wrestles anyone, in that division, stays out of subs, and probably doesn't get hit. I still think he does his game to anyone. Chad Mendes MMA, just takedowns, top control, and a UD. I still think he does that to everyone else. But against Jose Aldo, absolutely not. Jose Aldo has just that really high level of athleticism that Chad Mendes just can't touch, and you combine that with the know-how of trying to stay out of takedowns. Jose Aldo is one hell of a fighter. When you couple that with a stand-up as well. So yeah, he's just nasty. As long as he's on his 2 feet, he is most likely winning that fight. And yeah, I gotta give it up to him. So yeah, Jose Aldo looked on point. I thought he'd be motivated. I thought he'd have his takedown defense down. Working with Gray Maynard definitely helped. And that just, boosted my confidence in this pick even more, just because if he's going to stuff Gray Maynard takedowns, he's going to be able to stuff Chad Mendes takedowns, and that's what we saw. Of course, we saw him have that assistance from the cage, where he did grab it, and maybe Chad Mendes would have dragged him down, but I still think that Jose Aldo would have got back up anyway, just because, for some reason he's able to scramble up to his feet even when he's almost taken down. So yeah, that's how good the guy is. And of course he caught him with that knee and followed him up with an H-bomb and a couple more punches after that. And that was all she wrote for Chad Mendes. So solid win for Jose Aldo. Who do you give him next? I don't know, because the welterweight division is, shot. I don't think it's necessarily thin, but it just wasn't ran correctly in my opinion. They don't have anyone set up as contenders besides, Mendes. Hioki was supposed to be one, but he looked that bad in the root bout, so, they can't just give him a title shot. They're making him go up against Palshevsky in UFC Japan on the undercard. So yeah, the featherweight division's a mess because everyone who's fought Jose Aldo already is still in the 2, 3, 4, 5 spot, you know what I'm saying? And that's not a good look because, it's not like they're going to get another auto shot. And the guys who I think should be going for contender bouts, haven't gone for him yet, like the Dustin Poiriers of the world or, Eric Koch or someone like that. So who knows what's going to happen with the featherweight division. So yeah, whoever they line up for Jose Aldo's just going to keep knocking him down. As for Chad Mendes, like I said, I still think he's number 2 in the world, and I still think he applies his game to anyone else. But yeah, just keep your head up, Chad Mendes. But for this one, War Aldo. Alrighty, folks, now let's move on to that 197-pound catchweight co-main event bout between Vitor Belfort and Anthony Johnson. Of course, it was initially scheduled as a middleweight bout, but Anthony Johnson couldn't even make 186 and decided to weigh in 11 pounds more than that. And of course, it was scheduled a 197-pound catchweight because of it. So, yeah, not cool for Vitor Belfort because chances are the following night he had to fight, a guy who was way heavier than him. And of course, he didn't have to go through the hardship of getting to 186. So, yeah, not cool on the part of Anthony Johnson. Of course, he did lose 20% of his purse to Vitor, so that's fair. And Vitor ended up getting the win. So yeah, justice was served. I was really happy Vitor got it done. I wanted him to win, and he did. And he got it done with a rear naked choke on the ground. So yeah, rather impressive from Vitor, weathering an early storm from Anthony Johnson. I figured if Anthony Johnson was going to surmount any, significant offense, it would be via wrestling. Guys, come on. Like, he's not going to outstrike Vitor Belfort. He's not, one of the most overrated strikers I've ever heard of. He's outstriking Luigi Fioravani, Kevin Burns, Charlie Brennan, guys like that. And all of a sudden, he's one of the best one punch, one kick knockout artists in UFC, according to Joe Rogan. So, yeah, absolutely not. Guys, do not buy into, hype. Just watch these fights, man. Look at who these are against, please. Yeah, it's sickening to think that this guy was a solid striker. Again, he didn't even stand with Dan Hardy. So what's he going to do against Vitor Belfort? Do exactly what he did to Dan Hardy. Put this guy where he's weakest and not where he's strongest, like on his back. And when Vitor was on his back, Vitor looked like shit. He was getting ground and pounded upon. Anthony Johnson was using a solid ground and pound, top control. And while he had the energy, he was doing a number on Vitor's face. Vitor's eye was getting swollen and stuff, but of course Dan Miragliotta was making some crazy stand-ups, but Anthony Johnson still had the energy to bring Vitor down and do more of it, but eventually he ran out and Vitor got his back and sunk into hooks for a rear naked choke. So solid win, Vitor. Guys, justice is served. Anthony Johnson gassed when he didn't even make the weight cut. Despicable, at a higher weight class. So it's his third time missing weight, and this time by a huge margin in a higher weight class, and he got the loss. So I do agree with Dana White cutting him. So what's next for him? I don't know, Bama or something crazy like that. We'll see. But for Vitor Belfort, again, good win for Vitor. I'd like to see him go up against, maybe the winner of Bisping and Maya. I think that would make sense, and then have the winner of that bout go for a number 1 contenders bout, because I don't think either of those guys are close to a title shot yet. So we'll see. Again, War Vitor, Anthony Johnson, he's cut. Alright folks, now let's move on to the next bout, which is between middleweights Rousimar Polaris and Mike Venzio, a real middleweight bout. Of course, Rousimar Polaris got it done via first round heel hook. Yeah, a first round leg lock from Rousimar Polaris. I don't think many people are surprised if they've seen Rousimar Polaris fight before. He just has a knack of getting his leg locks off against, decent or worse competition. Mike Venzio is top 20, top 25, 30 kind of guy. And yeah, it's just going to happen to him. He's just an inferior black belt, and he really doesn't have any other strengths besides grappling. So yeah, the better grappler won. That's the 80cc level leg lock guy in Rousimar Polaris. So nice win for Rousimar Polaris. It really doesn't do much for a stock, but it's a win nevertheless. I think he should get the winner of Yushin Okami, Tim Boach. I think that'd be a good fight for him. But as for Mike Venzio, he's still a decent wrestler, decent grappler. I don't think the UFC should cut him. I think he should face maybe Jared Hammond and have the loser of that fight get cut. I think that'd be fair. But again, War Rousimar Polaris and his leg locks. Alright, now let's move on to that welterweight bout between Eric Silva and Carlo Prader. And of course, Eric Silva got screwed out of a first round TKO victory. That sucks. That should have been his. When the bout was stopped, I thought Mario Yamasaki was for sure going to award this to Eric Silva, and he awarded it to Carlo Prader because Eric Silva was apparently punching the back of Carlo Prader's head. Now, I'm not going to debate with you guys if that bout was, if those blows were to the back of the head or not. Regardless, if they were, just saying, Mario Yamasaki should have said in the midst of that flurry, stop punching the back of the head. Instead, he just called it off and went with Prader and said, hey, he gets the win via DQ. So yeah, it's just Mario Yamasaki's fault. What can you do? Mario Yamasaki, though, I still think is a good ref. You know, shit happens. No one's perfect. And I think he knew he was wrong when he took a look at that Titantron when Joe Rogan interviewed him. So yeah, just a tough break for him and Eric Silva, of course. And Eric Silva's a class act for acting professional throughout the debacle. So props to him, and luckily for Prader, he probably gets another shot in the UFC. But now let's move on to the lightweight bout that kicked off the main card for us. That was between Edson Barbosa and Terry Etim. Of course, Edson Barbosa made history with that Badr Hari backspinning heel kick. You know, he pulled a wheel kick in MMA, and it actually knocked the dude out in Terry Etim, a very good striker, someone who's never been outstruck before, let alone stopped by strikes anywhere. So yeah, nice win for Edson Barbosa. I don't know what to say. Like, God, that was sexy, you know. And he was outstriking Terry Etim for the first couple rounds too. You know, I was picking him to win like that over the course of 3, but in the midst of 3, he throws that backspinning heel kick. It connected, and Terry Etim went down like a sack of bricks. Damn. Still amazing. But yeah, Terry Etim, keep your head up. Whoever he gets next, I'm sure he'll probably be in the UK or something, have that guy rebound, because, you know, Terry Etim I still think is a very quality lightweight fighter and someone that I think the UFC wants to see do well. But Edson Barbosa especially, you know, I think we're going to see quite a hype train out of this guy come, you know, his later fights. I'd like to see him go up against Tony Ferguson myself, someone I think that he's kind of on par with in the division. You know, both young guys, both strikers, one's a kickboxer, one's a boxer. I think it would be a good matchup. So yeah, Joe Silva, make that happen. Alright folks, now let's move on to the undercard, taking a look at it really fast. Starting with the lightweight bout between Thiago Tavares and Sam Stout. Folks, Sam Stout, I thought he won this fight, you know, 29-28. I gave him round 2 and 3, but of course Thiago Tavares got the decision in the end. And yeah, apparently they didn't like Sam Stout's, you know, higher volume of punches in round 2, and I thought that would have been enough for him to get the decision. But of course, this is a, you know, hometown decision, in my opinion. Of course, tell me what you guys thought of it in the comment section below. But solid win for Thiago Tavares. I don't know what's next for him. You know, I'm glad he has improved his striking because he was able to go toe-to-toe with Sam Stout for a bit. So that's definitely a good look for him. Sam Stout, though, the UFC will obviously keep him. You know, he's an exciting dude to watch. And yeah, as long as they don't put him up against like Nick Lentz or something, it should be an exciting fight with Sam Stout. Next up, heavyweight bout between Gabriel Gonzaga and Ednaldo Oliveira. Folks, Ednaldo Oliveira is, you know, another guy with the last name Oliveira who really should move down a weight class and is overrated and overhyped. So yeah, Gonzaga got it done via rear naked choke of round 1. I'm glad to see Gonzaga go back to his roots. You know, Oliveira, time to hit the gym, boy. You're like a 6'7", 229-pound dude. That doesn't work out so well. So yeah, solid win for Gonzaga. Next up, featherweight bout between Yuri Alcantara and Michihiro Omigawa. Folks, Alcantara is one hell of a prospect if he got his gas tank issues together, because, you know, he kind of gassed in round 3, in my opinion. And yeah, I think he has a solid skill set, but that's just something he has to work on. But yeah, he beat Omigawa everywhere, so that was rather impressive. He had him tight with that armbar in round 3, but, you know, Omigawa was saved by the bell, but you could argue he did tap already. So yeah, who knows about that, but still a very solid win for Yuri Alcantara. I hope he gets a top 10 after that, because there really isn't many people in featherweight to fight. You know, I think it's kind of a thin division, and I think they kind of handled it, you know, in the wrong way. But yeah, I hope he gets some sort of a top 10 dude, because I think he's deserving of it. Next up, welterweight bout between Ricardo Funch and Mike Pyle. Ricardo Funch, you know, I don't know what he's good at, and I don't know what his game plans are when he comes into the UFC. And yeah, Mike Pyle just did his thing, being the superior striker. So solid win for Mike Pyle. Ricardo Funch probably cut. And yeah, even better for Mike Pyle is that he's the only non-Brazilian to win on this card. So that's definitely a good look for him. Yeah, next up, the lone Facebook fight on the card. This one was between Felipe Arantes and Antonio Carvalho in featherweight, and Arantes just showed that he was a sharper striker over the course of 3. I thought Carvalho would be, but, you know, Arantes did his thing, so that's definitely a good look for him. But that about does it for me, folks, for UFC 142. I hope you guys enjoyed my review and the event. Again, it was one of my favorite that I've seen overall. You know, I loved all the crazy finishes and stuff. And again, I wasn't ever bored throughout this card. There was definitely a lot to talk about for this one. So yeah, as usual, just leave your thoughts. in the comment section below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I guess I'll see you soon for my UFC on FX Gallard versus Miller pick. So again, thank you for all the support once again. Deuces for all my supporters, bruises for all my haters, and yeah, take care.